Every New Year's I make gumbo, and this year I'm going to take you on this journey because it was a lot. So first off, you start by oiling a skillet, and you're going to saute some sausage until they just get a nice little color. This year, or every year I guess, I do andouille sausage. And I typically do like another smoked sausage or so. And so I do it in a couple batches because I like all of them to get color. So I do a couple batches of those and remove them. Then I'm going to sear and cook some chicken thighs. You're not going to cook it all the way. You're going to cook it like 3/4 of the way because it's going to continue to cook in the gumbo. Again, you're just really getting the color. And then you move on to the roux. Now, this is where your patience kicks in because you're going to be standing at this pot for about 30-45 minutes. So you're going to do equal parts oil and flour. So I did 1.5 cups of oil, 1.5 cups of flour. You mix it in over medium heat, and you're going to continue to stir this pot. You do not want to walk away and let this flour burn. You're going to have to start over, and it's going to be a mess. So I'm standing here and I'm just stirring, and I'm going to keep going. I think in total, I probably stirred this pot for about a good 45 minutes. And I still didn't even get the chocolate color that I normally go for, but I was over it. I was tired, and I just settled for it. So this is me continuously stirring the pot over and over and over and over and over again. After like 20 years, I gave up. I didn't get the color that I wanted, but I did decide to add my holy trinity after a while. And that's just celery, onions, and green bell peppers, and then also garlic. So you're going to let that kind of cook down for a little bit. Again, you're still going to do this over like a medium heat. You do not want this flour to burn. It's going to taste nasty. I'm going to add in my garlic, and this is when you start adding in your meat. So I'm going to add in all my sausage, and then I'm going to add in my chicken as well. And then I'm going to kind of just bring that all together. Just mixy. Again, still medium heat. Do not turn up the fire yet. I made a seafood stock from scratch, so I'm going to go ahead and hit the pot with the seafood stock. And you guys, this is where things just took a turn because it completely separated and it was horrible. So I thought, let me just add a little bit of chicken broth. I don't know. You see that? You see the separation? Well, I thought seasoning would fix it. So I'm stirring, and it never came together. So you know what I did? Freaking started over, y'all. Like literally, I had to go back to the store, get more sausage. It was a lot. But talk about dedication, okay? Because I was like, I promised my entire family gumbo. I can't not give these people gumbo. So I started over again, gave up at the end because I didn't get the color. This whole experience has just been a fucking disaster, to say the least. Anyways, repeat everything that I said before, right? So now we're back at this stage of the gumbo where you're going to be adding in your meat. So this time I did get the roux just a little bit darker, and I added a little more chicken and a little more sausage because I was able to fix my mistakes from before. So bring it all together. And then this time what I did was I boiled the chicken broth, and then I slowly sifted it in. So I poured like a cup, and then I'm mixing, and then I'm going to pour like another cup, and I'm mixing until I get through I think 3 cups of hot chicken stock, because I did my research, and sometimes because the roux is so hot and then the liquid that you're putting in is either room temperature or cold, it's going to separate, and it's really hard to get it put back together. And all this ingredients cost a lot of money, and I don't be having time to be wasting seafood and chicken and sausage. So this is what we did this time, and I wasn't in love with how the process went, but it worked. And I don't know why this year, all of a sudden, this happened to me, because I've made gumbo every year for the last 3 to 4 years, and this has never happened to me. So I don't know what I did wrong this time, but hey, we worked it out and we fixed it. So after putting in the hot chicken stock, this is what it ended up looking like. So maybe I did about 4 cups actually. So this is what it ended up looking like, and thank God it ended up blending out. Oh Lord, I was nervous. And then I went ahead and added literally a whole thing of chicken stock because we're making a lot of gumbo. And then I kind of just let that come to a simmer, and I let it boil for a while before I go add in all my seafood. Because I didn't redo a seafood stock this time, I did buy a seafood boil and put it in there because I like the seafood taste. Even though you're going to be adding in crab and shrimp, I feel like this just gives it a little extra oomph. So then I was busy, wasn't really recording like I should have been, so I went ahead and I added in my crab, and I think I overdid the crab. Like, it was literally so much crab that it completely filled the pot, but no crab goes wasted around here, so everything was going to get in there. I just had to wiggle and manipulate the pot a little bit, but we was going to get it in there. So once I finally fit all the crab in, I let that simmer for a few minutes, and then I added in some shrimp. I did add a little bit of seasoning on my shrimp just because I feel like the pot needed a little extra seasoning. And so then I'm going to try my best to work this shrimp in because I overstuffed the pot. But is there really such thing as overstuffing a pot when you're making gumbo? Like, there's no such thing as too much shrimp, too much crab, too much sausage. Like, what are we even talking about? So once I finally kind of spread that shrimp, I don't want to stab it and break it apart and mess it up. So I kind of just let it simmer like that until it started to cook. And then periodically, I just kind of went in and kind of churned it just a little bit without completely just breaking apart everything. And after this point, once the seafood's in, you're not going to be cooking it for very long. At this point, I just kind of let it simmer to let the seafood finish cooking because everything else was basically done at that point. And then this is what it was looking like. It was smelling so good. I like to taste my food, so after tasting it, I feel like it needed like a little extra oomph. So I did add a little extra seasoning. Again, it's just still on low on simmer until all the seafood is completely done cooking. And seafood does not take long, so I think I let it simmer for about like another 20 minutes tops, and then I turned the fire off so that it doesn't overcook. And this is what it ended up looking like after everything was done. And yes, the pot was full, but hey. And after all that trauma, I made my plate and I set my ass down. I like a lot of rice in my plate, so don't judge. There is some soup at the bottom.